Okay, check your calendars. It is January 2026. And if you've been watching the financial news at all, I mean, you know the ground just shifted under our feet.
Significantly. And shifted might be putting it mildly. It's more like the tectonic plates of the global economy just snapped.
Yeah, and we're not talking about a standard stock market dip here or another rate hike from the Fed.
Yeah.
We are talking about the plumbing, the actual pipes that move money around the world. The BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, plus the heavy hitters they've added like Saudi Arabia and Egypt, they have officially flipped the switch.
That's right. The unit is live.
The unit. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel. But, our mission today is to cut through all that noise.
There's a lot of it.
There is. I was scrolling through X this morning, and people are treating this like it's just another press release. So let's be really clear. This isn't a white paper, right?
No, absolutely not.
This isn't a concept phase or some proposal about something they might do in 5 years.
That is the critical takeaway to start with. This is not a proposal. It's not a trial run. As of right now, the unit is operational.
Wow.
It is a functioning cross-border payment system that lets, nearly half the world's population trade with each other without touching a single U.S. dollar.
That's just wild. I mean, think about that. For my entire life, and probably for everyone listening, the U.S. dollar has been king.
The absolute monarch.
Yeah, if you bought oil, you used dollars. If you traded internationally, even between, say, Brazil and Vietnam, you mostly used dollars.
It was the only game in town. It was a monopoly.
And what happened in January 2026 is that the monopoly was broken.
Exactly. The BRICS nations didn't try to fix the old system. They realized it wasn't built for them, so they built a completely separate one.
Their own rails.
Their own rails, their own infrastructure, and they just opened for business.
So we need to unpack what this actually means for you, for the listener. Because headlines are one thing, but the mechanics, how this really affects your wallet or your portfolio, that's another.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with those mechanics. Because when I hear new digital currency launching in 2026, my brain, it immediately goes to crypto.
Sure.
I'm thinking Bitcoin or maybe the digital yuan. Is that what this is? Just another crypto coin on a blockchain.
No, and this is where the design gets really, really interesting. It's not a cryptocurrency in the way we think of Bitcoin.
Oh, so?
Well, Bitcoin is speculative, right? It fluctuates wildly. The unit is engineered to solve two specific problems for nation-states: stability and sovereignty.
Stability and sovereignty. Okay, big words. Break that down for us.
Think of it as a two-pillar system. The architects knew that nobody would just trust a new currency out of thin air. So, pillar number one is gold.
Good old-fashioned gold bars.
Physical gold. A full 40% of the unit's value is pegged directly to physical gold held in vaults across the BRICS nations.
And it's physical, you're saying, not paper gold or some derivative.
Right. The sources are really clear on this. It's audited, verified metal. This is their credibility anchor.
Okay, but why gold? It feels so archaic. We're in a digital age, we have AI, and they're backing a futuristic currency with, yellow metal.
It feels archaic, but it's actually the only way to solve the trust issue. Gold has no counterparty risk. They're basically saying, trust this currency not because you trust us, but because it's backed by something that has held value for 5,000 years.
So it takes the politics out of it.
It attempts to. That's the stability part. 40% is anchored in gold.
Got it. So what's the other 60%? Because if it was 100% gold, it'd just be a gold standard, right?
Exactly. And a pure gold standard has its own issues, mainly that it can be too deflationary. So the other 60% is a weighted basket of the BRICS national currencies.
So the yuan, the rupee, the ruble.
The rand, all of them. So you've got this mix.
It's like a greatest hits album of emerging markets.
In a way, yeah. Think about the logic. 40% safety from the gold, and then 60% growth potential based on the combined economic power of these nations.
And that economic power is, it's not small anymore.
Not at all. We're talking a combined GDP of over $28 trillion. So the unit is designed to be stable enough to trust, but dynamic enough to grow with them. It's a very clever piece of financial engineering.
It sounds like they looked at the dollar's strengths and its weaknesses, like the fact that it could be printed to infinity, and just said, we'll change the rules of the game. But I have to ask the big question. Why now? Why was January 2026 the moment?
To understand why now, you have to go back to February 2022. That was the catalyst. That was the real wake-up call.
You're talking about the invasion of Ukraine.
Specifically, the financial response to it. Remember what happened? The U.S. and the West froze over $300 billion of Russia's foreign currency reserves.
I remember that clearly. It was unprecedented. We just turned off their bank account.
It was. And while the West saw that as a necessary sanction, the rest of the world saw it very, very differently.
How so?
For countries like Saudi Arabia, China, Turkey, the message was terrifyingly clear. If your national savings are stored in our system, we can delete them with the stroke of a pen.
If you cross the wrong line.
Exactly. So the unit isn't necessarily an attack on the West. It's a defense mechanism. It's
Wow.
a financial shield.
It's insurance.
It's a plan B that became so necessary it turned into plan A.
But here's the thing, and this is where I think a lot of skeptics get stuck.
Yeah.
Can these countries actually trade without dollars?
It's a natural question.
It just seems so deeply embedded. Can you really just stop using it?
Well, for decades, the answer was probably no. But we don't have to guess anymore. We have a beta test that's been running for 4 years.
A beta test.
Look at Russia and China. Since that 2022 shock, they've had to figure this out. As of right now, in 2026, something like 90% of the trade between them is settled without a single U.S. dollar.
90%.
That
is massive.
hundreds of billions of dollars. Oil, gas, electronics. They've been settling in rubles and yuan directly. They proved it works at scale.
So they've been practicing.
Think of it like this. The unit is the new superhighway that just opened. But Russia and China have been driving on the back roads for 4 years, avoiding the toll booths. They proved you can get from A to B.
And now they're just paving the road for everyone else.
Precisely. And everyone else is a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the part that's hard to wrap your head around. The sheer scale here. This isn't some fringe group.
Not at all. The BRICS alliance with the new members, we are talking about 46% of the global population.
3.6 billion people.
And it's not just people, it's resources. That's the key. These countries control the oil, the rare earths, the agriculture, so the unit has instant utility.
It's not launching into a void. It has a built-in user base.
A built-in user base of the world's biggest commodities producers.
Okay, that brings me back to the gold. I want to drill down on that because that feels like it has a direct impact on the listener. If 40% of this currency is backed by gold.
Then the math gets pretty wild.
Right. Walk us through that.
It's just supply and demand, but on a macro scale. Every transaction in units requires gold backing to maintain that peg. So if Brazil sells soy to China in units,
Or India buys oil from Russia.
you are creating massive structural, institutional demand for physical gold.
Demand that just wasn't there before.
Correct. Gold demand was jewelry, investors, central banks. Now, gold becomes the monetary plumbing for half the world.
So what does that do to the price?
Well, the sources mentioned forecasts from places like JP Morgan predicting gold could hit $5,000 an ounce, maybe even $8,000 by the end of this year, 2026.
Wow, that's double or triple where it's been. That completely changes the investment landscape.
It's a squeeze. You have a fixed supply meeting a massive new source of demand.
Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Does this kill the dollar? Are we looking at the U.S. dollar becoming worthless next Tuesday? Because I might be starting to panic if I'm holding dollars.
No, don't panic. And it's really important to manage expectations here. This is not about an explosion.
It's about erosion.
Erosion. That's the perfect word. The dollar isn't collapsing overnight. It's still huge. But what's happening is the end of what economists call the exorbitant privilege.
Okay, unpack that for us. Exorbitant privilege. Sounds nice to have.
It is. Basically, because the world needed dollars, the U.S. could borrow cheaply and run massive deficits. We could print money and the world would just absorb it.
We got a free ride.
The unit puts that privilege on a timer.
Because now there's an alternative.
For the first time in 80 years, there's a legitimate competitor. Every time a country settles a trade in units instead of dollars, it chips away at that power. It's a slow leak, not a dam bursting.
So it's about choices.
Yeah.
Before, you had to eat at the only restaurant in town. Now, another one opened across the street.
And that analogy is perfect for what you could call the geopolitical swing states.
The undecided voters of the world.
Exactly. Countries like Turkey, Indonesia, Vietnam, they aren't in BRICS yet, but they are watching this very closely. For them, the unit represents options.
How so? Why would Vietnam or Indonesia care that much?
Because a lot of these countries are caught in dollar debt traps. When the U.S. raises interest rates, their local currencies get crushed, but their debt is still in dollars.
So they're at the mercy of the Fed.
Precisely. Or they feel squeezed by sanctions. Even if they never fully join BRICS, just having the option to use the unit gives them leverage.
A bargaining chip.
It's a powerful one. They can go to the West and say, give us better terms or we'll take our business across the street. They've never had that before.
Okay, we've painted a pretty robust picture here. But surely it's not all smooth sailing. I mean, look at the countries involved, China and India. They have active border disputes.
You've hit on the Achilles heel, the coordination problem.
Right. Can they actually get along well enough to run a currency together? The Eurozone struggles, and they're mostly allies.
That is the big vulnerability. That's what Western analysts are betting on, that BRICS will fracture from within.
It's a very strange dinner party.
Very strange. I mean, you have China, an authoritarian state. You have India, a democracy that sees China as its biggest rival. Brazil and Russia are completely different.
So who decides monetary policy? Who holds the gold? What happens if relations sour?
These are the hard questions, and the standard Western rebuttal is they hate each other too much to make this work.
There's a counterargument.
There is, and it's that shared opposition is a very powerful glue.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Precisely. The desire to escape Western financial control, the fear of having your assets frozen like Russia, that motivation might be strong enough to force them to cooperate.
So they might hate each other, but they fear the weaponization of the dollar more.
It's a pragmatic marriage. It doesn't have to be based on love. It just has to work. And the system, with the gold, is designed to minimize the need for them to trust each other. They trust the math.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. We're in January 2026. The unit is live. What does this all mean for the person listening right now?
If we zoom out, I think the big picture is that we are witnessing the end of a monopoly.
The end of the single currency world.
Right. And the world isn't splitting cleanly in two. It's not US versus BRICS. It's becoming a complex, multi-layered ecosystem. Countries will use the dollar for some things, the unit for others, the euro for others.
A menu of currencies.
Exactly. And for the US, it means we have to compete. We can't just assume everyone has to use our money anymore. We have to make the dollar attractive, not just mandatory.
That is a huge shift in mindset after 80 years.
It's a paradigm shift. And for the average person, it just means diversification is more important than ever.
So here's the thought I want to leave everyone with. The rules of global finance, the ones that have existed for your entire life, are being rewritten in real time. The era of unchallenged dollar supremacy is over. The question isn't if the landscape will change, it already has, but how you navigate a world where the US dollar is just one of the options on the menu.
And ignoring that shift is no longer an option.
Absolutely not. We'll be keeping a very close eye on this. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Anytime.
Take care, everyone.